There is a moment after the casseroles stop coming and the cards stop arriving where you looked around and realize the room has gotten very quiet. This is the part of grief no one warns you about. The disappearance of friends you thought would be there forever. Grief changes everything. It changes not just who you are on the inside, but the entire world around you, including your friendship. This is something almost nobody warns you about. Some people disappear after loss, not because they do not care, but because they do not know how to stay. They are afraid of the pain, afraid of saying the wrong thing, or afraid of facing a reality they cannot fix. If you have ever asked yourself why friends disappear during grief, today's episode is for you. And then there are the ones who do stay. Today we are talking about both and what they teach us about who our real friends are after loss. The silence of the departing crowd. When you experience a profound loss, the initial weeks are often a blur of activity. People rush in with casseroles, cards, and condolences, but eventually the noise fades. The cards stop coming. Phone calls slow down, and everyone else return to their normal lives. That is when the true silence settles in, and that is often when friendships after loss start to feel complicated. During this time, you often watch friends or acquaintances drift away. It is a second wave of loss hitting you when you are already down. Grief counselors sometimes call this a secondary loss, the loss of a friendship on top of the loss of your person. You begin to notice who reaches out and who pulls back. But rather than holding bitterness, it helps to understand that most people just don't know what to do with a broken heart. They retreat because they do not have the emotional equipment to sit in the heavy wounds of life. In a few minutes, I'm going to share a story about a moment in a grocery store that changed how I see friendship forever. The power of the ones who showed up. And then, amidst that quiet, they are the ones who do the exact opposite. It's easy to focus on the empty chairs, but if we look closer, we'll see the people who quietly move their chairs right next to ours. The people who stayed did not always have the right words. In fact, most of the time, they did not say anything at all. They did not try to fix me, and they did not try to wash my healing. They just showed up quietly, consistently. They sat beside me when I could not talk. They listened when I finally could find a word. And somehow, their steady presence made breathing a little easier in a world that suddenly felt entirely devoid of air. This is what real grief support looks like. It really looks like advice. Before I continue, if this conversation have been helping you feel a little less alone, I want you to know that they are only one part of what I am building. My memoir, When Goodbye Comes Too Early, shares the full journey from PIMS diagnosis to learning how to breathe again after loss. If you are looking for more encouragement, you'll also find weekly reflection here on YouTube, new podcast episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen, along with other resources created for people walking this road. Everything is under one name, When Goodbye Comes Too Early by LTP Hope. Now let me tell you what happened next. Real moments in ordinary world. I think back to those early months when everything felt too heavy to carry. There were mornings I could not face the day, and a friend will simply text, "I'm here." Sometimes that was all I needed. Not advice, not answers, just presence. This is what coping with loneliness after loss actually looks like day to day. Not a grand gesture, just someone choosing to stay close. There was a time I broke down in the middle of the grocery store. Out of nowhere, a song that reminded me of Tim started playing over the store speakers, and before I knew it, hot tears were rolling down my face. I wanted to disappear into the floorboards out of sheer embarrassment. But my friend who was with me did not rush me, and she did not try to pull me away or distract me from my pain. She just stood there beside me, steady, quiet, and unbothered by the stares, until the wave passed and I could breathe again. Redefining love and letting go of isolation. Grief teaches you who your real friends are after loss. It is not about how long you have known someone or how many years you spent sharing casual dinners before the tragedy occurred. It is about who is willing to walk with you through the fire when everything is burning down. I used to think leaning on someone was a sign of weakness. I was wrong. The one who stayed taught me something sacred. Love does not only exist in romance, it is found in friendship, in small acts of kindness, and in every single person who chooses to stay when living will be so much easier. I used to think healing meant doing it all alone. I thought true strength meant standing back up by myself without leaning on anyone else. But I learned that sometimes real courage looks like letting others hold you up when your own legs are shaking. Eating, accepting help, accepting care, and realizing that grace often arrives through the hands and hearts of ordinary people. This is part of why building a grief support community matters so much, because none of us are meant to carry this alone. gratitude, community, and looking ahead. If you are listening and you have had people who stayed, the friend who checks in on you on a Tuesday, the coworker who quietly covers your workload, the neighbor who leaves flower on your doorstep, take a moment right now to thank them in your heart because their love is a vital part of what is rebuilding you from the inside out. And if you have ever felt entirely alone, I hope you know this. Some people will come into your life just when you need them most. They might not say much. They might just sit beside you in the dark until you remember how to breathe. And that kind of love is holy. Lord, thank you for the people who stayed. Thank you for the quiet ones who listened, for the strong ones who hold us steady, and for reminding us that love often wears an ordinary face. Next time, we will talk about still in his spirit, how love doesn't end when someone's gone. It's just learn a new way to be with us. One last thing before you go. My book, When Goodbye Comes Too Early, is linked in the show notes if you would like to go deeper into this journey with me. Until then, this is LTP Hope reminding you that when goodbye comes too early, love is what helps us begin again. Until next time, take care of yourself. Good night.